Okay, so we're going to have a bit of a dive into Houdini's group node. I mostly use it for procedural geometry because it's quite important to be able to keep the numbers out of things. So to keep absolute references to primitives or points or edges out of things. And the group node is the one thing that enables you to do that quite effectively. So I've just set up a bit here. So we've got a camera that's pointing at a box. Set up a box, obviously. Divided the box. It's a polygon mesh because I need that to get it to work with other things. Just quadrilaterals, and I've just raised it so it's actually like sat on the Y0. And so let's create a groups. So just right click and then group. So we've got two different ones. We've got group and group create. They both lead to the same node. It's just that this is an older one that's been deprecated. So you can use either of them. They both will turn up the group create node. So we'll click on the group create node, and we've got a default node there, which gives us group 1, and we'll just hook up that box into there. And then I've just grouped all of my primitives, see, into a group called group 1. You can see that that's worked if you go to the geometry spreadsheet and say group 1, and then you've got the 1 inside there, which means that it's in the group. Or there's an easier way, a very visual way of doing it. What you can do is you can click on this little button here, so display group and attribute list. So this will do two things. Number one, it will color in all the points, primitives, edges or vertices that are in that particular group. And number two, it will bring up this awesome little list here that will tell you what you're clicking on. So what the primitive that you click on, what group that's in. I do something else as well. It will also select all of the primitives or points or edges or vertices that are in a particular group as well. So that's a really useful, or you can select anything that's not in the group as well. So the base way of creating groups is just to filter them. So for example, if I select primitive 74, then primitive 74 is the only one that's going to go in the group. And then we can do a bit more filtering. So if we select anything but 74, then everything but 74 will go in that group. And then we can do something like this as well. So we can select 63 to 74 as well. And then only 63 to 74 will go in that group. And then if we put an exclamation mark in front of it, then all but those ones will go in the group as well. And then you have that one as well. So that one is just a wildcard, which will give you everything. And just stick everything in the group. But that's also what the default will do as well. We've got a few other ways of doing it. So we've got 4 other ways of doing it too. So we're going to disable that one. And then we're going to do this one. So this keeping bounding regions. So this will create a bounding box for you. You can have different types of bounding box. So you can actually have a bounding sphere. And then you can have these 3 as well. So a bounding object, a volume, and a convex hull. So they're for points or vertices only, like it says on the tin. And then you can move around the bounding box to kind of like stick in any area that you want, wherever you want to go. And then you can also do this. So include partially contained entities, which means anything that's like halfway across will get included as well, like that. Turn that off, then you only get, things that are entirely within the bounds of the box. I'm going to reset that. The next one down is keep by normals. And this is why we've got the camera. So you see that like the ghost of the camera there is pointing at this. And so what we can do is we have this first option here, and this is what the camera's here for. So, and the parameter is actually called camera path. So anything that's facing the object, what this will do is anything that this can see, this will include anything that it can't see. So anything that's on the opposite side of that. So we go to our operator chooser and we select cam, and there you go. So it just selects everything that the camera is not actually looking at. You can see that the camera can't see any of those, then they appear in there. And then you can reverse that as well. So you can include another group node and then just reverse that. But that's a bit further on. The third one that we've got, we're still on the normals. We keep doing the normals, so we're going to reset that. The next one that we've got is to do it by direction as well. So we can include anything that's in a particular direction. So we have like X, Y, and Z in the direction, obviously. But we have like the spread angle as well. So what we can do is we can decrease the spread angle, pick a direction, decrease the spread angle, and include only those elements that are facing in that direction as well. So only those elements that meet that criteria. So we can change that to that, we change that to 1, and then we just get that one as well. So we just get that along the z-axis, or if we change that to 0, so if we change the z to 0 and select 1, then we just get the ones along the x-axis. We can have the -1 as well. So the -1 will be on the other side too. Everything spread around the origin as well. And then for more complex things, so for more complex shapes, you can actually do stuff like that. So you can increase the spread angle on the normal as well, decrease or increase the ones that are supposed to be included on them. What I've commonly most used these for is for, say, for example, when you use a poly extrude node, which is down there for another reason. If you have items that don't necessarily get included, or that are difficult to filter using the poly extrude's default group selections, then you can use the trick of keeping them by normals instead. So which way are they facing, to use that trick to actually like get them to work, and that always works particularly well for me. So I'm a big fan of that one. So do this one as well, so we can include by edges. So include by edges works on primitives or edges. Does it work on points as well? It might, but basically it'll measure the angle between two elements that you're trying to use. So the angle between two elements that you're trying to use, and it'll calculate that as well. So we can increase that to the max edge angle, because all of our elements are 90 degrees on this. We can increase that, and then it will select none, and then we can decrease it to 0, and it will select all of them. And you can select them all like that, which is really cool. We're going to deselect those, and then we're going to select edges, because we need to do a trick. So we can do this by edges as well. Do the minimum edge angle like that. Okay, and then we can use this. So edge angle uses angle between edges. So this is only for the actual edge angle as well. And you can see that if we decrease that, we increase and decrease that, then because all of the angles on this are right angles, as soon as we pass that 90-degree threshold, you go, they'll start appearing in the group. So this is the reason I've got the poly extrude node here. If I drop this poly extrude node in and then do my group trick, we can be a bit more clever about it. So we can actually see how that works in general operation, because all of these now have different angles between each other. So all of them have different angles and lengths. We can actually see how that starts to work. So that's how we would select like those that pull off at a particular time point, at a particular point as well. Okay, we turn that off, and we can use also a minimum edge length. So we can like have a maximum edge length that we can include in there, and a minimum too. So that means that we can exclude all of those that are on the outside as well. So all of those that are on the outside there, we can destroy those too. You see, here you go. So that's how you'd include the edges in the group as well. Turn those off. And then we've got that option as well, which is pretty cool. Unshared edges. So we don't have any unshared edges in this. But if you're looking to clean up geometry or automatically like put things that aren't going to fit into your geometry in groups, then you would use unshared edges. And then we also have the ability to create boundary groups as well. And then the last one is keep by random chance. And this is a very cool one. So what we can do with here, keep by random chance, is obviously random ones. Switch back to primitives, because that's a better example. So we switch back to primitives. You can see it's got a seed, so we can change which ones are included, the percentage of ones that we kept, and then this really cool one as well. So what we can do is, if we want to get a bit more advanced with the random ones that get included, we've got this one, so seed attribute for ID. So what this will do is, the default is ID, but you can have whatever attribute that you want in there. And so what we do is, first of all, we create an attribute. And you're able to see, if I like switch the seed, my attribute create for this gives everything a value of 0. So this is just like a quick attribute creation. So I've created the ID attribute. I've given it a default value of 0. If I go over to my geometry spreadsheet, you're going to be able to see that's the attribute there, and everything is 0. And then all that happens is if I come down to here, it will just select one or the other depending on, the seed. So this won't matter, apart from it gets up to there. Apart from if it gets really low or really high, it will always select it. Or if it gets really low, it will never select it. But this is the cool part. So our attribute randomized. So this is another node. If we drop our attribute randomized node in here, we have our attribute name, primitives, etc. We're giving it a max value of 1 and a minimum value of 1 and a max value of 100. And then we do the same thing again. You're going to be able to see that our ID is a random number between 1 and 200. And then the keep by random chant then depends on that attribute ID rather than the global seed. So we can have like a more controlled random. And that's just about it for that group node. There's other group stuff that we're going to explore later as well. But yeah, that's how you get started with the group node. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. I hope you got something out of that. If you did, why not subscribe? You can also hit the bell below as well. That will make sure that you get notifications for when we go live or when we've got new videos up. And yeah, we will see you around soon. Bye bye.